Good evening and welcome to Tok Piksa. The government began the year 2015 with a big announcement. It declared a state of emergency on electricity services throughout the country. Minister for Public Enterprise and State Investments, Ben Maika, said this action was in response to the large number of complaints received from the public as well as the frequent blackouts experienced. The announcement was made in Port Moresby in the presence of major stakeholders from the government and business sector. This report from Delhi Bagu.
I've got the right plans, I've got the right strategy, I've got the right people. I'm confident I've got the right government behind me.
That was the main message the Minister for Public Enterprise and State Investments, Ben Maika, announced at the conference on the 7th of January. He said it was an NEC decision after numerous complaints, frequent blackouts, and a debt of about 130 million kina.
The National Executive Council made a decision to invoke Section 3 and 4 of the Essential Services Act and to declare electricity services, not PNG power, but electricity services throughout the country, to be declared under a state of emergency.
It was found that there are thousands of illegal power users in the country, in particular in the cities and provincial capitals that use 9 megawatts of electricity. However, PNG Power only receives payment for 2 megawatts. The majority remainder of 7 megawatts with a monetary value of 7 million kina is lost every single month. The millions of kina stolen is a criminal act.
I've instructed the advisory committee to review the electricity tariff structure with the intention of reducing the tariff. And my long-term goal is that after this exercise is over, I will put the tariff on tender or auction. There will be no more new IPPs, whatever, but we will put the tariff on tender, and all companies who want to provide power, whether it be hydro, geothermal, solar, or whatever, can provide electricity at an agreed tariff that the government will set, and anybody can produce power.
Under the state of emergency regulations, those found guilty of illegally using power through meter tampering, illegal connections, and unauthorized supply of power will be taken to court and ordered to pay a fine, 100,000 kina for individuals and 500,000 kina for business houses, or face imprisonment for a term of 6 months. An advisory committee was established headed by Controller, former Chief of Staff of the PNG Defence Force, Captain Tom Ur. PNG Power now has been instructed to carry out a mass disconnection exercise throughout the country to recoup all monies owing to the company. Other directions were also given.
The government itself is the biggest culprit. There are many government departments and agencies that hardly pay their bills for months and months, some even years. So instruction has been given to the Secretary for Finance and a lawful direction under my powers. For all government departments, from now on, your bills will be paid directly to PNG Power. Because you budget for those bills in your budgets every year, but you never pay for the bills. You use the money for something else. So this time, finance will pay it straight to PNG Power.
Minister Maika also revealed that government departments are some of the main offenders in non-payment of electricity bills.
But I'd like to assure every one of you that this is not a state of emergency that will lead us into bigger problems. I stand here today and tell you that I am not one that works on failure. I have calculated and strategized the whole approach to this exercise so that at the end of the 60 days, I must report back to Cabinet positive steps that have been taken to address the issues within the company, and positive steps that have been taken for the company to work together with other stakeholders in the private sector, other government agencies and international organizations to ensure that we address the overall requirements of electricity for the people of our country.
Mr. Micah assured stakeholders that the state of emergency is a calculated exercise which is expected to yield positive results.
People are just bringing in all kinds of appliances that do not comply with the standards and the regulations of electricity under the laws of this country.
The quality of power basically comes in two folds. When we generate power, we produce an idle power that goes into the system, and there's a reactive power that is fed back into the system, and that raises the excitation voltages or decreases the excitation voltage in the generator. So that's what we call dirty power, that's a reactive power. So in the construction industry, basically when you proposers or investors in the building sector, when they're about to build a property, they should be getting a tick-off through the Physical Planning Board, which PNG Power is not a member of, and we'd like to get onto the Physical Planning Board as well, so that we can be able to verify and correctively address the electromechanical aspects of the building, like Edorano, for that matter, will be interested, PNG Water will be interested as a participant on the Physical Planning Board, so we can be able to contribute meaningfully on the design front or concept front all the way to the construction and delivery of the project. So what the developers are doing now are placing a load onto us, which we don't have the benefit to actually participate on the concept or design stage to delivery. So that is becoming a mammoth task onto PNG Power to basically manage and govern.
Mr. Micah said illegal connections and non-payment of bills have contributed to about 30% of revenue not being collected by the company. Another contributor to other power problems are electrical appliances used by factories and homes that don't comply with electricity standards of Papua New Guinea. A further downside to this is that some of these problems could be avoided if PNG Power, who is also a regulator, was on the Physical Planning Board.
So you would now notice that there was a commissioning of what we call a voltage state compositor in the system, and that basically manages the voltages in the system, and it's of a vast technical specification and design. That is basically to address the quality of power. So the people that are bringing in white goods also are also regulated by PNG Power. So randomly we check on white goods, and a lot of people importing white goods into the country basically import things that are not to the standard in terms of Australia and New Zealand, which we operate the systems on. And most of your white goods will blow off, and you claim that it was PNG Power which basically blew the white goods. But no, if you look at the back of the white goods that you are bringing into the country, they don't meet and comply to the specification. And as a result, you keep losing money. But it's not PNG Power's fault, it's your fault.
Some good signs, though. PNG Power CEO John Tangit said there is now a system in place which addresses the quality of power. Controller Tom Ur assured power users that this exercise will bring much sought-after resolutions to some of the country's power problems.
The challenge is for me to now save this power generation system, to streamline the power generation system. And I've acquired a sinking ship that's leaking. My task is to identify those leakages, block it, save it, correct the trim, and we move on. I'm here to assure the public, the people of Papua New Guinea, that the power will continue to flow. PNG Power will be still there, and we will continue to sail on. And those of you who are not doing the correct thing, who are using power without proper approvals, that you have broken the law, and that's very clear. Minister stated that. And those of you are the ones that will face me. Those of you are the ones that we've got very good intelligence.
Mr. Micah said beyond the 60 days emergency period, he will work together with the Minister for Energy, Nixon Duban, on a policy that will be supported by the New Zealand government to have a clear energy policy. In the meantime, a hotline number has been opened for any queries regarding the state of emergency.
The decision to announce the state of emergency within electricity provision in Papua New Guinea is the first that any government has made in PNG's history. Tok Piksa spoke with Minister for Public Enterprise and State Investments, Ben Maika, to find out why this drastic decision was made. Now, Minister for Public Enterprise and State Investment, Ben Maika, thank you so much for joining us. The decision to declare a state of emergency within the electricity sector in Papua New Guinea, what was the main reason behind declaring this SOE?
To put it simply, too many complaints on blackouts. I think this is what really led to all the issues that have been raised over the last few months over the quality of services that have been produced by provided by PNG Power. And the Cabinet then reviewed reports and studies that have been done over the past and decided to invoke Section 3 and 4 of the Essential Services Act and declare a state of emergency, whereby I do not promise, as the Minister that has now been vested with all the authority over electricity services in the country, that blackouts will disappear overnight. But I want to assure the members of the public and the country that those issues that have been causing blackouts have been identified, and we now have started the process of addressing them.
Under the SOE, all IPPs have been ordered to report to PNG Power within 48 hours of this announcement. How confident are you as Minister that this order will be complied with?
The financial situation of the company. It was bordering on a situation where the major lenders, a consortium of banks and financial institutions that lend funds to implement some of the infrastructure programs, especially on the two dams at Sirenomo and Yonki, have been concerned that the cash flow situation in the company was bordering on issue that would have led to default. And therefore, the government took decisive, critical steps to ensure that we take much better control and focus on addressing those issues.
Minister, you've stated that those illegally using power will be prosecuted. How confident are you that they will be successfully prosecuted?
I've given them 2 days to report to the next nearest PNG Power office and report that they have been illegally using power or they've been illegally providing power.
Retired Captain Tom Orr has been appointed as controller for this SOE. He has with him a wealth of experience within the Defence Force. What are your expectations from him over the next 60 days?
After 60 days, he gives me a full report of the issues that he has been instructed to carry out under the document that I showed you, and that the government will then make further decisions on that report. That is simply what I want from him. I do not expect him to perform miracles, but I am very confident that I have appointed one of the most experienced, one of the most competent and capable senior officers who is now retiring from the Defence Force. Maybe he can speak for himself on what he intends to do.
Well, the task is quite challenging, over 2 months to address those issues. I've studied the documents, and there's some areas that are quite clear. There's some that we need further depth investigations. But the instructions from the directives from the minister is very, very clear. The issues that that me as a controller to achieve. So I have talked with the emergency group, and my control center will be briefed every day to make sure that those issues are addressed. Every day we will be getting C-traps from the emergency group, working group, and then every week I'll be providing the minister with an update and a report on progress as we go as per his directives. And that the issues and the challenges are quite achievable. We know the targets, we know the difficult targets, and there are ways and means around achieving those targets. My job is not being punitive. My job is to make sure that normal business and proper actions are carried out. Because laws are laws, and if you've broken the law, you have to be treated under those circumstances appropriately.
This move to declare an SOE within electricity provision once again places a spotlight on PNG Power, Minister. It has previously been in the news regarding its performance. Are you looking to other SOEs to improve their performances as well? And if so, will similar measures like declaring an SOE be taken within other utility sectors?
Some people do not fly on aeroplanes, many people. Many people do not use the ports. It's only business people who trade goods that are shipped out through our ports. Those are some of the SOEs, the New Guinea, PNG ports. Water and sewage is only provided to Port Moresby, Lae and the bigger centers. Millions of our people do not have access to sanitation and clean and safe water. So the impact of, let's say Adarano is not as drastic. The telecommunications sector is now very much deregulated, and private service providers like Digicel providing challenges to our telecommunication companies, state companies in that area, and they are responding to it. So I do not really expect any really drastic actions in those other SOEs. Why PNG Power? Also millions of people do not have power. A great bulk of our citizens do not have power. But the power that is made available to our main centers that enables the government offices and hospitals and schools and factories and all these very important institutions and organizations to operate are the heartbeat of the nation's modernization and development process. So therefore power is essential, power is very important, and we cannot allow it to decline. And we have taken these steps to address those issues. Blackouts was only a symptom of bigger issues which have been addressed, like I said. So many reports have already been produced. It's about time for action, and I'd like to commend Prime Minister O'Neill and the Cabinet for taking heed of my recommendations and enabling this situation to be utilized to address those problems.
Was the board of management of PNG Power consulted for this decision?
They don't have to be consulted. They are appointed by government, and they are very much aware of the consequences of the imposition of the Act.
You've mentioned that top of the agenda will be recouping outstanding monies from those who have been illegally using power. This, Minister, is in addition to cost-cutting measures that will be introduced within PNG Power. Now, among these is the termination of all consultants. What is the guarantee that no local PNG Power jobs will be lost? And how do you think the PNG Energy Workers Union will react to this decision?
The union is being expected to be responsible during the period of the state of emergency. Because the workers are very much important, the most important element of the company. And the controller himself is aware, We have not disrupted, the composition of the board or the management team. We've only refocused them on addressing issues under the state of emergency provisions. So I want to assure all the workers of PNG Power that their jobs are quite secure. I do not guarantee, though, that those who are involved in illegal activities will have a job at PNG Power. Those who are not turning up for work and are being paid to work and are not working, there is no guarantee that they will have a job in the company.
Among your priorities over the SOE period is restructuring and commercialization. Now, what is the difference between the current restructure and capitalization as opposed to previous rescue packages that PNG Power has received from government?
In the past, it's like pouring water into a leaking tank or pouring water over hot stones. In this situation, we are increasing the flow of water by increasing revenue, but plugging the holes.
Minister, for the duration of the state of emergency, PNG Power will report to you directly as Public Enterprise and State Investment Minister. Now, what does this say about the confidence you have in the Independent Public Business Corporation?
Section 46 powers of IPBC, which allows any decisions in terms of expenditure beyond 1 million to be approved by IPBC, plus or some other reporting procedures. Those have been waived by the Cabinet under the state of emergency, and all the powers of IPBC are now vested in the Minister, and the Minister is delegated to the Controller.
Now, Minister, businesses are the major users of electricity and the major customers. Many times they have been the most vocal about the failure by PNG Power to adequately provide power, which in the end costs them potential income. What is your assurance that electricity supply will improve over the next 60 days?
I'm confident to assure the business community, I'm confident to assure all consumers of electricity that so long as everybody cooperates, so long as everybody plays by the rules, so long as everybody pays their bills, business as usual.
PNG Power as an SOE has a community service obligation. What is the guarantee that PNG Power's CSOs will not be affected?
Definitely not. A lot of the CSO requirements of PNG Power are now being done by the members through the district support improvement programs in collaboration with PNG Power. So those community service obligations, which are mostly rural in nature, are being implemented by the members of parliament with the districts, and also PNG Power is now just a coordinator of those programs.
Minister, on a similar note, this SOE within electricity provision starts off 2015 for state-owned entities. Now, what would you like other SOEs to focus on over the next 12 months?
Is to ensure that NUGNI successfully brings in all the players and officials, spectators and participants in the games, to ensure that the lights operate consistently and reliably during the period of the games, to ensure that all our state-owned companies that are providing services that are critical to the hosting of the game are functioning to efficient, desirable levels.
Minister Micah and Captain Ur, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us on EMTV.
Thank you.
And that's our program for this week. I'm Mary Botulo. Good night.